Thanks for tuning in to the Palm Beach Podcast, a weekly show highlighting people making a positive impact in Palm Beach County. With your hosts, sports chiropractor and athletic trainer, Dr. James Spencer, photographer and art director, Mike Jones. Our show is brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters, Hopportunities, Indo Board, and Lotus Trips for travel and retreats to Palm Beach County. Hello, and welcome to the Palm Beach Podcast. My name is Mike Jones, hanging out in Media Zone with my co-host, Dr. James Spencer. How are you doing today, Spence?
You know, another terrible day outside here in South Florida.
Yeah, it is really hard living in Palm Beach County. And we're very fortunate because we have a special guest with us today, don't we?
We always have a special guest. Jessie Dez, welcome to the Palm Beach Podcast.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. You're the second podcast that we've had in our new studio space. What do you think?
I absolutely love it. I love the view of the terrible weather today, of course. I really like it. It's very homey. I feel very comfortable and ready to talk with you guys.
Cheers.
And you have a lot on your resume, a lot of accomplishments, a lot of titles, a lot of things. How would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Well, right now, I don't have a title. Usually I would have said, I'm Miss Palm Beach County 2019. But that was my former title. So I used to be Miss Palm Beach County through the Miss America organization. But now I'm just me, which is nice to be for a little while. And I'm a student at Palm Beach Atlantic University. I'm studying broadcasting, and I'm happy to be here with you guys today.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. I know that you have a bit of a background of being an athlete and in media creation, which is very similar to us. And so it seemed like a natural fit to bring you on and, share a little bit about, what we talked about before we went on air about the pageant process and sort of some stigmas and things that you think you could kind of shed some light on. So be excited to dig into that.
And not only that, talk about the podcast that you've created as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. It's I think you might be the second person that we've had with their own podcast on the Palm Beach Podcast. So thank you for also helping to grow the space.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so tell us about what's the name, what's the topic, what's your podcast all about?
Of course. So my podcast is Beyond the Crown, and it's based on pageantry since I have been part of the Miss America organization for the last 5 years or so. And it started off by me just really connecting with the girls that I was competing with, and that it's exactly the opposite of what people stereotype it to be. I mean, I've always been motivated. I've had ambitions, I've had plans, but I wasn't always surrounded by like-minded people, especially in high school. And that's when I kind of looked out and I was like, I've always wanted to do a pageant, so let me try it out. And when I did, I met all these women. I was ready for those stereotypes. So I came in with a stereotype. And they just blew my mind. They were just like me. And it was so refreshing to me. All these women, they know what they want. And this was in high school. So they're like, I applied to this university. I want to do this. I want to get my master's. Like, they have a legit plan and they're going for it. They're not afraid to fail. And it takes a lot of guts to go on stage, whether it's on swimsuit, doing talent. The interview portion is very intense. I mean, I study and I train for the interview portion.
Yeah.
People don't realize how much you have to prepare for a pageant and how much it boosts your confidence. And it really is a big impact of who I am today.
Talk about stepping out of your comfort zone.
Clearly,
all the bright lights are on, the cameras are flashing. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're literally there to look and analyze. That's the competition, really.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're judging you on. What's the criteria now? Help us out.
Yeah, of course. So with the Miss America organization, what people get mixed up about, there's a bunch of different pageant organizations out there. But the difference is Miss America, they're going through some changes right now. People either like him or don't, but they are going through some changes. So it is Miss America 2.0. But it's based on scholarship and community service and more so education. So there is a private interview with the judges that is not on stage. It's the morning of the pageant, and they can ask you anything. You just go in the room. It's 5 to 6 judges, they are judging you. So when people are like, oh, I'm afraid people are judging me, and you're like, oh, you're fine. Like, I know I'm walking into a room where I'm being judged. So you walk into the room and they can ask you anything from politics to what's your favorite color to what you did last Monday to, I don't know, like.
What's the craziest question you've gotten?
Which amendment is my favorite?
Oh.
And now I know them very well, thank you to my Freedom in American Society class that I took during summer. But I wasn't too familiar with all of them. I don't even remember what I said.
I love it.
I think freedom
might,
of speech.
They might ask questions that they think you might not know just to see how you react, like under pressure.
Totally.
That is actually the whole point of the private interview, because they want someone who can represent Florida, and you don't need to know all the answers. You don't need to be right all the time, but they want to know that you are good under pressure, that you know how to talk to people and communicate well. So they definitely test you in that route. But one thing that I do have on my resume that I always get asked about is you get told to put something fun in your resume to have the judges remember you, because they're seeing at Miss Florida, they're seeing like 50 to 65 girls back to back to back for 2 days. And this is a big percentage of what gets you onto the next round of the pageant. But I can speak gibberish. So I put that I speak gibberish. So I think every single interview I've ever had, a judge has always asked me to speak gibberish for them. And they love it. I make them laugh, and they hopefully remember me.
Well, don't hold out for us.
I knew once I mentioned it. Had the guy, met the guy, into the game, at the giz, to the guess, at the key, to the guess.
Okay. I
That's
remember
definitely
these. I remember
gibberish.
these, yes.
Do you remember learning about these in middle school?
I have a younger sister.
Yes.
Yes, so I know what this is like.
It's pretty popular within girls. I mean, it literally started with probably 6th grade and my friends and I thinking we're cool.
Mike knows a little Spanish gibberish.
Oh. No. I drink margaritas and think my Spanish gets good. I'm very out of practice, and his wife, who's also from Puerto Rico,
Correct.
reminds me all the time.
Yeah. That's
You know, we have some funny tongue twisters. But I'm definitely not going to say them right now.
That's funny.
So now we've talked a little bit about your involvement. Tell us a little bit more about how it works when you go from county to state to nationals, just for general education for me and for the listeners.
Correct.
Yeah, of course. So with any pageant, there's different levels that you have to get to. So for Miss America specifically, you want to get to Miss Florida. So in order to do that, you have to compete in a local pageant. There's Miss Winter Park. There's Miss Palm Beach County, which is the one that I was. There's I think there's a Jupiter now. They kind of come and go. Okay. Miss Fort Lauderdale, Miss Boca Raton. So it's usually some little pageants are bigger than others. So one pageant, you could be competing with 5 girls. The one that I competed in, it's like 20 girls. So you have to win a local title. So once you win a local title, and also to qualify, you don't have to pay anything. That's a big deal, because a lot of pageant organizations, you have to pay a fee that is really expensive, on top of having to pay for your gown and everything that goes into pageants.
And being a student.
Exactly.
Yes.
So with Miss America, all you have to do is raise $100 to Children's Miracle Network and get a sponsor for like $100, where they'll be announced on stage when you announce yourself, and they'll be in the program book. So it's nothing out of pocket for us. But that's why we're really big in community service. So every single girl you see competing, from local to state to Miss America, they've all raised a certain amount of money for Children's Miracle Network. And that's a lot of money every month, every year. I mean, it goes higher. So once you win a local pageant and you go to Miss Florida, you have to raise, I think last year it was $250 for Children's Miracle Network, but that's the minimum. You can raise more than that. And they actually give scholarships for people who
that's really cool.
raised the most amount of money. And I think I was like the second runner-up of raising money for Miss Florida last year.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, super cool.
It feels good to give back, right?
Oh, absolutely. And especially because this goes into a whole other story, but my sister used to be a Children's Miracle child. So I actually have
even cooler
personal connection. Like, I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I was the family that was receiving the help. So for me, this is more a way for me to give back, and I know how these people are feeling. So
Correct.
it's great for me to be able to do that now.
It's nice for you to come in and kind of humanize it a little bit, because it's something you see on TV. It's something you see on the news. It's not something that is in everyday life. So I appreciate you kind of shedding some light on that, because it is something that we're trying to do on the Palm Beach podcast. Share some stories of people that are giving back, helping Palm Beach County, donating,
Correct.
giving their time. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
It's inspiring, really.
Well, and
Thank you so
that's
much.
really what, like, the people who we want to surround ourselves with
Mm-hmm.
are people who are go-getters that want to give back to the community and really leave an impact. So yeah, thanks for being on, for sure.
Yeah, of course.
And so, now that you're former, I mean, how does it work? Because like in sports, if like you were the champ, like people call you the champ forever. Like, are you always former Palm Beach? Like, how does that title work? Do you have to pass it on?
So you do pass it on. And I just passed it on to my Miss Florida dressing room buddy. We sat next to each other during Miss Florida. Ashley Clement. She is the new Miss Palm Beach County 2020. So you do pass it on. So you have it for a year. And then your reign is over and you pass it on, but you keep your crown. You always keep your crown. You keep your sash. And you'll always have the memories or the scholarships that you made. I went to Miss Florida and I won the Rising Star Scholarship for my talent.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So that's something that I'll hold on to. And a lot of girls, I mean, you'll hold a lot of different pageants during your time. Winning a state title is not easy. 3 seems to be the lucky number, though. Most girls win on their 3rd try. And it's usually girls that are older. So when I knew that when I competed when I was 19 or 20, I'm still young, but when I competed when I was 19 or 20, my probability of winning was not really up there, because they usually pick older girls, because usually at Miss America you see anything from like 23 to 25. So it's rare when a younger girl wins. But I mean, age has nothing to deal with it. More so maturity and what you've done. But it does have a little bit of an impact there. But yeah.
And even we were discussing before, like you almost have to have that version 1.0. Like you almost have to get that first L out of the way.
Yeah, you learn a lot.
Yeah. And that's what we've done here. I think, we filmed about 20 episodes now. And we definitely, we messed up a couple of them along the way. But we're better at it now. And our little motto is that our next podcast is always our best.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just a cool way to look at it. We're always learning. We're always getting better.
Yeah.
And so, thank you for coming in and talking a little bit about that experience, because it really does. I think there's a lot of, girls in Palm Beach County that would aspire to achieve what you've achieved.
Thank you.
So I think you'll find that people will have some relatability and maybe inspire them.
Yeah, and I feel like I've found a hidden treasure, because I said this to you before the podcast, but Miss America is the biggest organization for women's scholarships in the country. So even if I don't win a local, but I get a 3rd runner-up or 2nd runner-up, or I win talent, you win scholarship money for everything that you get. And a lot of other pageants are not like that. You don't see scholarship money until the state. So here, anytime, the year before I was Miss Palm Beach County, I was competing again, and I competed at South Florida Fair. I competed for Miss Miami Beach, and then I did another one, which I won, was Miss Florida Sunshine. But I got 1st runner-up in these pageants back to back, which 1st runner-up means that the other girl just won behind, in front of you. Maybe there was 2 points difference. So you were almost there. You almost won, but you're 1st runner-up. But I made the most scholarship money that year. It was bittersweet, almost there. Because if you're 1st runner-up, you don't get to go to Miss Florida. So you would have to do a pageant all over again to win a title. And I did it. I competed in three pageants, and I made the most scholarship money. So
that's definitely handy, because, you're working as well. And going to school and competing. So
it's so much. That's why I decided to take a break this year. It's my senior year. And it is a lot of pressure. The year that I won, I had 2 weeks of a deadline to have. You kind of need to have, for Miss Florida, it's a little bit more intense. You don't pay out of pocket ever, but the qualifications are higher. You have to raise $250 now for Children's Miracle Network. And you have to sell, you don't have to, it's by choice, but you sell sponsors. And when you sell sponsor or get sponsors, you get half of the commission. So for some girls like me, I'm like, well, if I sell 10 business cards, I'm making $500, and that can pay for my evening gown or hotel or,
Correct.
you know.
Those bikinis are not cheap.
They're not.
Yeah.
But Miss America actually doesn't have bikini anymore. They got rid of it. That's one of the most controversial changes.
Oh boy.
They've been changing a lot of things so far. They got rid of evening gown. Definitely a lot of changes that are causing a lot of
discussion.
Oh yeah. But it's still a great organization to be a part of. And I know that I'm still going to be competing in it. But that is why I'm taking a break in my senior year, because it is a lot of work with exams. And I just want to focus on graduating.
Good for you.
Once.
Yeah, good for you. And tell us the transition to podcasting. Yeah, like this is super cool.
TV shows, media production, interviewing.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I love everything about entertainment. So I started out as a musical theater major in school. I was always musical theater, dancing, acting, singing on stage. I love it. But I've also had a love for journalism and broadcasting. When I was little, I started the newspaper in my 5th grade. I love saying that. But I also used to just go around with a little notebook. I was inspired by Nancy Drew, and I would just write my observations, and no one ever knew what I was writing about, but I'd write articles about it. So it's been a journey, kind of figuring out, now adulting, trying to adult, figuring out what career you want. And college is a lot of money, so I want to make sure that I'm getting a degree that I'm going to use. So I did take a break, and I did risk leaving my scholarship, musical theater scholarship, which is really the only reason why I was able to afford going to Palm Beach Atlantic University. It's a private liberal arts school. So it's not cheap. And even with all the scholarships that I had, financial aid, I still didn't have enough. So I got an audition and I got the musical theater scholarship, and I'm grateful for that time. And I did it for 2 years, but I knew something was tugging at me. So I took a break and looked up the jobs that I would have, are the ones that I would like to do, and kind of saw their qualifications. And it was always something like entertainment reporter, anchor, something in the entertainment business, because I love podcasting, I love video, I love film, all that stuff.
Good fit.
So I was like, you know what? I need to officially do, journalism or broadcasting. I still audition for TV shows. I audition for movies. I'm just in a short film right now. So acting is still very much an active part of my life, but you don't need a degree to do that. You just need experience, and you need to build your resume. You do not need a degree to be in a movie. If you have that star quality and you're made for that role, you're going to get it. They don't ask for a degree, but for broadcasting, they do ask for a degree. So, and then I realized that I could not afford to go back. I was like, what am I going to do now?
Oh boy.
So this was when I was Miss Palm Beach County, and I've been doing so much community service. I basically sang the national anthem. I sang my way through Palm Beach County, because my director always had me singing at the Palm Beach County Chambers, and I got to sing at the New York Mets. What are they called? I'm blanking out on the name. The Astros versus
baseball team.
Yes.
Houston.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Houston.
I'm so
Mets?
right now.
Yankees.
Washington.
You said New York.
It is New York versus Houston Astros.
Okay.
I
think there's
right
2
now.
New York baseball teams.
Yeah,
I apologize.
No, the Mets versus the Astros.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
So I got to sing the national anthem for that. So I've been doing a lot of community service, and I've been representing Palm Beach County this entire time. I mean, every time I compete, they announce what school you're from. So I've been representing Palm Beach County.
Congrats.
And thank
this
you.
is so cool.
So I've been representing my school, and they have no idea that I am, out there representing them. So I was like, I'm going to schedule a meeting with the president of my university as Miss Palm Beach County, tell him everything that I've been doing. My platform, we always have platforms. So my platform is the Brain Aneurysm Foundation, because my sister's a brain aneurysm survivor. That's why she was a children's miracle child. So I work a lot with them. So I considered myself to be doing a lot in the community, and I do a lot to help other people, raise scholarships. And I was like, I need to do this for myself for once. So I scheduled a meeting with the president of my university. I got ready. I did a whole self-talk before I went in there. And
affirmations.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to ask the president for a scholarship, because this is my only shot to come back and get my degree. And I only need like a year and like a semester to graduate. So I'm almost there. So I met with him. I spoke with him. I told him my story, told him everything that I was doing. And I looked him in the eyes, and I asked him for a scholarship, and he told me, that he'll see what he can do, and that we'll stay in contact. So it went really well. And from that, I got a scholarship from the president of the university. And now I am back and about to graduate in fall.
So cool.
Yeah.
And Spence always brings up this, I don't know if it was a book or a talk, but it was about hacking your education, where it's like nothing's stopping you from going to the University of Miami and sitting on a lecture, or starting your own show, or sending a bunch of emails out. Nobody's stopping you from doing these things.
Yeah.
You can literally create opportunities for yourself if you're, go-getter, positive, and, all those qualities are shining right now. And it's so cool. You totally deserve and have earned that, because I know people that have competed in similar fields as you, and it takes a lot. I mean, I don't know about you, but everyone that I've ever known had a nutritionist, had a stylist, had a makeup person. It's not cheap.
It's not.
And so, sometimes you just have to ask.
Yeah.
You don't know until you ask.
Yeah. And honestly, that's my biggest accomplishment. That is my proudest moment so far, that I was able to just go to the president of my university and ask him for a scholarship.
He probably appreciated that.
Yeah. And you know what? I was like, I deserve this. I've been representing them. I do a lot for others. I represent Palm Beach County. I was like, I deserve to finish my education. So
good for you.
Yeah.
Well, and they should be grateful for somebody like you to be, not only as a student there, but as an ambassador. So I agree. At the end of the day, you're doing a lot of good work for them. Yeah.
And they're really big supporters.
Totally.
We had a girl that went to Palm Beach Atlantic University. I'm forgetting everyone's name right now. But she was also a musical theater major, and she won Miss Florida while she was at Palm Beach Atlantic.
No way.
And the president and a lot of the staff members flew to watch her at Miss America, which was in Atlantic City. So they flew, they bought tickets. Those tickets are not cheap. No. And they went and supported her. So it's really nice knowing that I go to a school that supports, this way of life, and a way that we're getting scholarships and paying off our education, because a lot of schools aren't really supportive of pageants or Miss America or anything like that. But they are so supportive, and our president is super sweet, Bill Fleming. And he was like, well, now I'm going to count on you to win, and hopefully we'll see you on TV and I get to go to Atlantic City again. And I was like, I will. I don't know when, but I will in the next maybe 4 years.
Love it.
But it's mutually beneficial. I mean, you're bringing exposure to that school, which is, although prestigious, not off the top of the tongue when you're naming off, major schools in Florida. Yeah. And so now let's talk a little bit about the transition out. You're getting ready to finish. You got some aspirations for podcasts and shows and reporting. What's your next steps? What are you doing next?
Yeah. So I am so ready to be done with school. I'm a go-getter. So I'm like, I just want to be done so I can fully just start my career. Especially when I'm in math class right now, which I'm taking the steps forward in my career. But then when I get home, I have math homework. So that's where I'm at in life right now. But I just started as a co-host for Living Local, which airs on WFLX Fox 29. And we do entertainment reporting. And yesterday was actually my first day filming with them.
Heck
and
yeah.
It was amazing. Like we were talking about before, you just have so much fun. And when it's fun, it's not work. And I was like, I would do this. Well, I would do this for free, but not really. But
No, she would not do that for free.
my services are not free.
We'll actually take a raise in 6 months, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. But you have so much fun that you forget it is a job. Obviously, I know it's a job, but you forget that you're working. So that is that's where I'm at in life right now. Also, almost to the finish line and graduating in fall. So it's a lot of fun. And I'm also trying to enjoy my senior year as well. So
It's
definitely has me really busy. So I took a break of pageantry, but I somehow found time to fill up my free time once again.
And like we see a trend with everyone that comes on the Palm Beach podcast. But embrace your inner kid every now and then, you know, like it doesn't have to be so serious.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do have to treat yourself. You have to spoil yourself every now and then. And you've definitely worked hard enough, for it. And, I really think that you just have all of it still in front of you,
Yeah, and spring break is coming up. So my goal for spring break is to relax and be at the beach. And that is giving myself some rest time and being a kid, like you said.
Hint to the boyfriend, but don't be making big plans that week.
No, but I'm sure I'll somehow find a way to fill up my week.
But give him a shout out, give him some kudos. I'm sure he's the number one supporter in your corner.
Oh, for sure. He is so supportive.
Good.
Which is a really big deal, especially, dealing with pageants. We're always going to events. And when I have my sash and crown, people are always coming up to you and talking to you and taking pictures. You kind of have to be on. So he'll come with me to some events. He gets the perks, like he gets to be in the parades and stuff like that. But it's
Smart
really,
man.
yeah, it's really nice knowing that I have having him, that he's okay if he's by himself for a little and he'll socialize and he's letting me do my stuff and then I come back and we enjoy it together. I think that's really important because it's very easy to have a significant other in that pageant world that isn't that supportive or might be more of the jealous type. It's like, why are you taking pictures with these people? It's like, it's my job. I can't be like, I have a boyfriend with a crown on my head. So yeah, no, he's been a great supporter and he always supports everything that I do. And he helps get me relaxed because I always have a lot going on.
And it's, I think we said before as well that we live in a world now where it's not all 9 to 5s at desk jobs. There's a lot of opportunity to make a career and make a living where you don't have to be unhappy,
Correct.
And we talked about Gary Vee with you before, who's a mentor and inspiration to us. And he's like, go ahead, start the Ninja Turtles podcast because you might make $50,000, but you don't have to go to work Monday to Friday and hate every day of your life.
Exactly.
And so you just have to be able to, have an understanding of what makes you happy, what drives you, and then make decisions from there, which you clearly have done.
Yeah.
Well, and I can tell you a lot of the patients that I work with, a lot of them are miserable to work in the 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
They may have $100 million in the bank, but they're miserable.
Yeah.
So it's all relative too of what makes you happy and follow that passion, that dream.
Yeah. And my boyfriend, to bring up again, his name is Alex Gomez, giving him the shout out.
That boy, Alex.
But he graduated last year. So I witnessed through him kind of the transition from college and school, which is what we've known our entire lives.
Yeah.
Entire lives to now, oh, I made it. I have my degree. I'm done. What's next? And he has a lot of energy and he got a 9 to 5 sales job and absolutely hated it. I mean, he loves being out on the beach and skimboarding and being out in the sunlight. And he was so miserable because he was like, by the time I get out, it's dark out and then I just go home, eat and repeat. So
yeah.
He was miserable and not doing what he wanted. Even though he's in business, he definitely wants to be in a business somewhere, but now he's back doing a serving job, which is going to be fun for him. He's definitely a people person. And he'll be making probably just as much.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got Media Zone here where we like to skimboard and hang out in sunshine too. So
I think you guys would get along really well.
Well, and sometimes you have to like understand that there's stepping stone
Mm-hmm.
periods in your life where like this job is not my full-time career. Like I'm taking this job to pay the bills while I go to school.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and back in the day, you used to have to work for a company for 60 years to get a pen, like, you know, where now we live in such a fluid, instant gratification type world where, you know, it's totally normal to go and wait tables during college, which is what I did and what like 90% of my friends did at college. Yeah.
And it is fun, especially like, you know, if you have a lot of energy, it's going to be a fun restaurant. It's the new restaurant for the Breakers. It's going to be next to Kachina. So it's definitely that fun vibe. And you're busy. I think that's what I used to be a hostess, and I was in the restaurant business for the last 5 years. And it definitely, you never were bored. It definitely went by fast. It, you know, it was good. It was good money for the time being while you're focusing on school and stuff. But I think for him, I think this is his next phase in life. And I think it'll please his, you know, want to be up and doing things all the time because he hated sitting in a chair all day. So I'll definitely keep him busy now.
Well, and spark some creative interest.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Especially he might be able to move up to management as well. Breakers is really good for being able to move on up. And I know that he already did mention it to them. And he's still pretty young too. He's about to turn 23. But, you know, potentially he could use his business degree and move up in the Breakers. That would be awesome too. So
yeah, we are fans of HMF.
yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, we've
Good tapas.
well, we will frequent the Breakers every now and then. If you twist our arm hard enough, we'll go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never actually I ate once at HMF. When you work there, you're
Shame
so
on
caught
you.
up.
Shame on
But
you.
I used to do. Do you guys know Echo Restaurant?
yeah.
That's where I worked
Yeah.
at. So we have a killer happy hour. Well, I don't work there anymore, but everyone was super cool, and you know, people are there, and they're servers that have been there for 20 years. But then there's also servers who are in college and are doing this for the time being. So it's definitely
It's
a
cool.
fun environment.
Yeah. And I don't know if you know this, but oldest hotel in Palm Beach County.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. And it's it's like still owned by, it's still family owned. And I think
Correct.
there's only 2 left in the country or something like that. Super, super rare, but still family owned. So
Pretty cool.
super cool.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the Palm Beach podcast. It's super inspiring to sit here and listen to you share your story. I think we got to give you a chance to let people know how they can find you and if there's anybody that you want to thank.
Of course. So on Instagram, I am Jessie Dez, JESSIE_DEZ. That's where I'm going to be posting everything that I have going on, you know, this podcast and meeting you guys. And of course, I'll say hi to my mom and my family and my sister. And I already gave Alex a shout out. And my dog, if he could understand what I'm saying, but I do love my dog. But yeah, thank you for having me so much.
Hey.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Until next time. Water.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Palm Beach Podcast, brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters, Hopportunities, Indo, and Lotus Trips for travel and retreats to Palm Beach County.